get 1 minus tan squared theta close. And then the denominator is cosine squared theta minus sin squared theta. Now I want to show that this part, okay, this part is equal to this part. So this part is equal to tan squared theta. Okay, now to do that, we can just do the solving there. Let me just change again. Okay, so we have our solution here. Okay, all right, now this looks good. So we have our solution here, right here. So what are we going to do? We can start solving from here. So what we have, one thing you need to remember here is that this basic identity, we know that tan is equal to sin theta divided by cos theta, right? We are going to use this identity. That is why it is very important for you to scroll up, find my first and second video under trigonometric functions, revise, and then come back to solve these questions. Alright, so what we are going to do here, we are going to substitute tan squared theta by sin theta over cos theta. Or if you want, you can do that. First of all, we can deal with what is inside the brackets there. That is, we are going to multiply sin squared theta with what is inside the bracket. So if we do that, we are going to have sin squared theta multiplied by 1. We are going to have sin squared theta, right? Minus, if we multiply sin squared theta by tan squared theta, we are going to have sin squared theta, right? Tan squared theta. Okay, this is what we are going to have on top over. Now the denominator is just going to be the same. We have cos squared theta there minus sin squared theta, right? Now here where we are, we can see that the numerator that we have, both sides of the operation, that is the negative operation, has sign, right? So we can divide through, okay? On top here, we can divide through by sin squared theta, and also the denominator, we can do that. So we can do that. Let's do that. So that's, we are going to do it from here. So we are saying on top we have sin squared theta, right, minus sin squared theta multiplied by tan squared theta, right? Now we divide through by sin, this sign, okay, sin squared theta. Also this side we divide by, remember this is just the numerator, the one we are doing this. Also here we divide by sin squared theta, right? So we are done with the numerator. Now we come to the denominator. Our denominator is cosine squared theta, right, minus sin squared theta, right? Also the denominator we are going to divide through with or by the same sign there, which is sin squared theta. Hope you are following. Sin squared theta, and this side we are going to do the same. We have sin squared theta, right? Now what are we going to get here? We can write it on top. Okay, look at here. The numerator that we're going to have is, we apply cancellation rule. We are going to have sin and sin cancelled there and there and there. So we're going to remain with 1 minus tan, that is tan squared theta, right, over, now look at the denominator that we have. We have cosine over sine, right? So that we are going to copy it like that, cos squared theta, right, over that's sine squared theta, right? Now minus, look at this, we cancel sine squared theta and sine squared theta, we're going to have 1, right? Okay, so this is what we have. Now we go to the next step. What we have here, we can rewrite it, okay? We can write it as 1, right? Minus tan, minus, sorry, not tan. We know what tan is. We know that tan is equal to sine theta minus cos theta. So we're going to do that. We have sine theta. This time, our tan is squared, so we have sine squared theta, right? Over cos squared theta, cos squared theta, right? Divide by our numerator is cos squared theta, right? That's cos squared theta over sine squared theta, sine squared theta, right? Minus 1. Okay, so this is what we are going to have there. Let me see if we still have a space. Yes, we have a space here. Okay, so again we can proceed here and write the other step. Now just on top, okay, if you solve your numerator there, you find your lowest common denominator, which will be cosine, right? You are going to have cosine as your common denominator there, if you check properly. Now if you do that, just your top part, you are going to have I assume you know what I'm talking about here. Just solve this top part here, okay, as you can solve when you have 1 plus, let's say 1 over 2, or when you have 1 minus 1 over 2, that is if we use negative sign here. The way you can solve it, that's how you need to solve there. And also your denominator, solve it like that. You find your lowest common denominator, which will be sine squared theta. Okay, now if you solve your numerator and your denominator in that way, you are going to obtain cos, so you are going to obtain cos squared theta, right, minus sine squared theta here, okay, over what? You're going to have over that's cos squared, right? Because this will be your lowest common denominator, so to say. So you have that. Again, you are going to have your denominator will be sine squared theta, right? Yes, your denominator is going to be not sine squared theta, but cos squared theta there, minus sine squared theta, right? Then over, okay, then over, so everything over sine squared theta. All right, now what does this mean? Okay, what you have, you can rewrite it. Okay, if you rewrite it, you are going to have what are you going to have? If we are to rewrite this, same as we are going to have cos, okay, we are going to have cos squared theta, right, minus sine squared theta, right, over cos squared theta. So we have cos squared theta, right? Now we can multiply, and when we multiply, we are going to have sine squared theta, right, over we have cos squared theta minus sine squared theta, right? So this is what we are going to have here. Now see that when you apply cancellation rule, this and that goes, right? Okay, that and that will disappear by cancellation rule. So we can write this from the top here. Okay, so if you do that, on top you're going to remain with, okay, look at this, on top you're going to remain with let's just not even do that, we can just solve it from here again. So on top you're going to remain with sine squared theta, right, over the bottom, which will be a numerator, will be cos, right, that is cos squared theta, right? Now what is this? You know that this is just tan, okay? This is the property of or this is the basic identity for tan. So what we have here, sine squared theta over cosine squared theta, this is nothing but tan. Okay, this is tan squared theta. Yes, so we have proved here that we have shown that this side is equal to tan squared theta.